Invasive species bring a lot of challenges to the local environment. They can disrupt the food chain, outcompete native species, and oftentimes reproduce very quickly. One such invasive species are spiny water fleas, like the ones in this bottle. But how exactly does this little zooplankton cause damage to our lakes in Vilas County, and is there a way to prevent its spread? Spiny water fleas are a zooplankton native to the freshwater lakes in Russia and northern Europe. They're quite large for a zooplankton, growing up to a half-inch in length, with their tails accounting for up to 70% of their length. In the plankton world, spiny water fleas are like elephants to the other planktons. They were introduced to the Great Lakes region in the 1980s from container ships dumping contaminated ballast water into Lake Ontario. Since then, spiny water fleas have spread across the Great Lakes region. They're now in many inland lakes in Michigan, Minnesota, New York, and other states in and around the Great Lakes region. They currently inhabit 5 lakes in Vilas County. Those lakes are Trout Lake, Plum Lake, Star Lake, Ike Walton Lake, and Stormy Lake. All 5 of these lakes can be seen in red on this map of Vilas County. They mainly spread by staying attached to fishing lines and anchor lines, but can also live in live wells too. This is why you may have seen signs like these at different boat landings asking boaters to clean, drain, and inspect their boats. Alright, so we know they're here in Vilas County and in neighboring states, but how exactly do they affect the environment? Simply put, they disrupt the food web of the lakes they invade. This is what a simplified lake food web looks like. The larger adult fish feed on the smaller younger fish, which then feed on microscopic creatures known as zooplankton, which then feed on microscopic algae. The zooplankton are an abundant and easy to consume food source for fish in their first year of life. And here is where the spiny water flea fits in the food web. Spiny water fleas feed on the native zooplankton. They diminish those populations. Those native zooplanktons are the primary food source of fish in their first year of life. So spiny water fleas force the young fish to feed on other, not as abundant food sources. This leads to smaller growth rates for fish in their first year and smaller fish as they continue through their life cycle. The young fish can't eat the spiny water flea because of their long spiny tail, but the adult fish can eat spiny water fleas, although spiny water fleas tend to reproduce way more rapidly than the larger fish can eat them. The worst part about all this is that at the moment, there is no effective method for removing spiny water fleas from a lake. There is some promising research, though, in Trout Lake looking at the role of Cisco for managing spiny water flea populations, but there is still more research to be done. Part of that research in spiny water flea work is done by the Land and Water Department here in Vilas County. Every other week, a colleague and I go out to a few different lakes in Vilas County that do not have spiny water fleas and take a sediment sample from the deepest part of those lakes. We then send the sample to the State Lab of Hygiene in Madison, where they look for evidence of spiny water fleas in the sediment. We use an Ekman dredge sampler to collect our samples. We drop the Ekman dredge sampler to the bottom of the lake, the deep hole, and throw the messenger down the line where it activates the jaws to collect the sample. There is hope for preventing the spread, though. Every other weekend this summer at boat landings on North Trout, Plum Lake, Star Lake, and Big Muskellunge, I do free boat washes for boats coming in and out of the lake. The washer uses high pressure and hot water to kill any sort of plant or microscopic animals on the boat to prevent the spread to any other lake. These boat washes are 100% free and funded by DNR surface water grants. I will be located at these times on these days at the Big Muskellunge Lake boat landing off of Highway N, Plum Lake landing off of Razorback Road, North Trout Lake landing off of Highway M, and the Star Lake landing next to the State Forest Campground off of Highway N. There are also some ways for you to get involved to stop the spread. We always recommend inspecting your boat and trailer after coming out of the water to make sure that there are no plants or animals attached to the boat and that they are removed before leaving the landing, as required by Wisconsin law. A rinse with a hose and scrubbing your boat with a towel can go a long way. At the boat landings where I pressure wash boats, I hand out these Swedish dish towels that work quite well for scrubbing down boats. All in all, spiny water fleas are especially bad for any freshwater water body they invade, and our goal is to prevent their spread to any other of our scenic lakes and rivers. We want to protect our unique landscape from invasive species who will disrupt the ecosystems. So please, do your part in protecting our beautiful lakes and rivers by inspecting your boat and making sure not to spread any invasive species, as it is required by Wisconsin law. I have included links to the sources used in this video in the description down below.